Hello guys, and we are here today with another very interesting deck profile. We're here today with some Monarchs, and I'm doing Monarchs right now. Monarchs, this is the deck I'm starting off with because I'm waiting for Card of Demise to come out, and I don't think this deck can really make too much use of Card of Demise, because obviously you're only going to get off one big tribute summon per turn. But then again, if you're running triple Call the Haunted like I am, you could possibly run Card of Demise in this deck, and it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, because if you did have to get rid of monsters with Card of Demise, they would just go to the graveyard for your Call the Haunted play. But I also wanted to talk about Dark Magician of Chaos in Monarchs. There's two decks that I think can really make this use of this guy. Now, if he was a level 7, then I'd say there would be 3 decks, but unfortunately he's level 8 and cannot be summoned, pendulum summoned very easily. But Monarchs can get him out pretty easily. All you need is 2 tributes. Unfortunately, you can't use Domain with him, which is a big way of tribute summoning with this deck, but Idea will get him out, or Monarch Storm 4th and Edios, or there's just a lot of ways to get him out. And of course, you get his effect if you special summon him, and you can always use Call the Haunted. Like, you use him for trade him. He's the go-to card for trade in, besides Erebus, because you could get Erebus back. So Call the Haunted is just a great way to just summon this guy out, and he's great against the Cosmos, because the machines will be banished if he attacks into one. Of course, if he was tribute summoned, then he will get the boost from the Dominion, so he'll go up to 36. If he was special summoned, which is probably going to be the biggest way you're going to summon him out, he will not get the boost, and he won't be able to run over Dark Destroyer, but he will be able to crash, and I believe if he crashes with Forerunner, he'll be banished, and anything that has less attack will be banished, and it has to be destroyed. So Cosmo, Wicked Witch, will not leave the field even if she uses her effect. And so it's just a great card. And of course, Cosmos, I'm pretty sure, can just use Reasoning to get her out, or Premature Burial, or just a variety of different ways to get Dark Magician Chaos out. But anyways, let's go into Monarch. So we're running 2 Erebus and then 3 Azir. So that makes 6, 7, 8 monsters for our trade-in. So we have a little bit more than 2. And I mean, this deck has decent consistency with Upstart getting put to 1, and we're not running Upstart, as you can tell. It kind of hurts this deck, but then again, you also have Kuraz, and even just having 1 Kuraz is great because of Call the Haunted. Like, there will be times where, oh, you're just gonna Twin Twister, alright, I'll just use Call on Kuraz, and I'll pop 2 of my own cards, or I'll just summon out Kuraz and pop a dead Call the Haunted. My opponent got rid of Dark Magician, they want to 1 him, or they cast him, and I still have the call. So he's just a really good card just to get more draw power. So there's plenty of draw power in this deck, and of course Erebus is a great card to summon out turn 1, just being able to shuffle a card from your opponent's hand into the deck, and then Azir going into Kuraz turn 1 is great, just popping both of them and then drawing 2 cards. And then if you have Called Haunted, you could always get back Azir, and that could maybe even set up for a Monarch Storm 4th play if you have a second Azir in hand. And we're running 2 Eodos and 3 Idea. I don't really like drawing into Eodos, and I wanted to have room for Regeki because I felt like there needed to be some sort of good spell card to get back with Dark Magician of Chaos. And so I'm running 2, 3, and so that's pretty decent. I feel that's very balanced overall. Because for the most part, you see him first, and then you'll be able to summon, and then you'll be able to use Eodos to summon out the second one. It was summon out the last one, and then the last one will summon out the last one, I think. Oh no, it just keeps on summoning the same one from the deck. I thought Eidos summoned from the deck for a second. I'm an idiot. Anyways, Pandeity of the Monarch, just it's a +1, so of course at 3, and then 3 Tenacity. Of course, this card can clog if you don't have any of these guys, and we're only running 7 or 6 actually targets for this guy, but you should be able to see them pretty easily. And then trade in. Again, you want to use DMOC or Erebus. Do note with Erebus effect, you can ditch a Monarch spell trap card to add them back to hand. And you can keep on doing this with the same card as long as you add that card to your hand. So if you trade in him, and then send him to graveyard and you draw into like Pandeity and trade in, another trade in, you can then ditch the Pandeity to add him back to hand to trade him in. And then you can use this trade in on him again, and then if you draw into trade in and another Pandeity, you can ditch the Pandeity again to bring him back to your hand and then trade in again. So as long as he leaves the graveyard and is sent to the graveyard again, you can use that effect, which is really great. And then our Twin Twister only 2, just being able to blow out back row. This is a deck I feel that wants to go first. If you think that this deck might have consistency issues, might be a little bit inconsistent, then put this card up to 3 and go second. Monarch Stoneforth, this is another good reason why going second helps, because of course if you go first, your opponent has no monsters and you can't use this card besides Pan Deity, so going second is not a bad idea, but I highly recommend putting Twin Twister up so that way you can get through back row. Or putting Return up, because Return will get through the major back row of this format, Strike, because if you set Return as Chainlink 2 and your monster as Chainlink 1, they cannot strike him. So that is pretty decent, and of course he will search for your Monarch monsters, being able to add you an Azir or an Erebus, which is pretty nice, but otherwise it just kind of clogs. If you can't get off a Tribute Summon, that's my problem with this card. When you do what you want to do, it searches, but if you can't do what you want to do, it does nothing except be a Pan Deity target. So there needs to be a monster that searches out Monarch monsters. That's what there needs to be. Just search out a Monarch monster, no questions asked. You don't have to tribute something, you don't have to do anything stupid. Just add a Monarch monster to your hand, and please let it be a Monarch spell trap card, so that way you can use it with Pan Deity as well. And then 2 Dominion, it's switch the level down to 2, and of course the plus 800 and the extra deck lock, especially if you have DMOC, that can be really annoying, especially against Pendulum decks, because you get rid of whatever they have on the field, they start banishing, they can't summon. But I don't think Pendulums are going to be a big thing anymore with Wavering Ice being banned. But just overall really good, just helps with that extra deck lock. And of course you could still special summon out DMOC if you have this card out with Call the Hunted, so there's no downside. Original Monarch or the Prime Monarch, just at 2, pretty balanced. Use it to help summon out DMOC or any of your other Monarch monsters as a tribute by banishing Monarch spell trap card from your graveyard, or you can just use it for more draw power, just adding to that consistency feel. And then triple Call the Hunted. Again, this is just great. If you want to run card of Demise in this deck, make sure you run this card, maybe even in Oasis, because if you draw into your monsters, if you draw into your ideas, if you draw into your Gyarados, they're gonna be dead, probably. And because one, you can't special summon the turn you activate that card, but if you draw into too many monsters, then Call the Hunted and Oasis will be there to say, hey, that's not a bad thing. But of course, if you do run Call the Hunted, I also recommend running Allure of Darkness, maybe taking out the trade-ins, putting Erebus to 3 and Azir to 2. It wouldn't be as good, it would be a little bit more inconsistent, but if you're already going to get rid of your hand during the end phase, why wouldn't you just run a card that gets rid of your hand right away if you don't have a dark monster? So, and of course there's 4, you'd be running one more, so that's 5, 6, 7, and if you put him up to 3, then that would make 8, so there'd be even more targets arguably for that. And then back row, just the back row you want to draw into to stop your opponent's play. Make sure that if they can get over domain, you have a response play, and with the amount of back row this deck plays, which you could be setting Stormforth, Twin Twister, Call the Hunted, a Strike, or maybe a couple duds such as Return or stuff like that, and how many Twin Twister targets there needs to be, these guys probably won't get hit unless they get hit early game and you haven't really established a field, because there's a lot of cards your opponent has to hit beforehand. If you have a DMOC, they're going to have to hit the Call the Hunted to get rid of that DMOC. If it's attached to that, it is, or have to hit the domain. Maybe you'll want to hit the return, or maybe it just blinds MST and you have 2 face downs and they chose the Monarch Stoneforth, which you can chain and of course still use Azir and tribute summon during your opponent's turn and mess with your opponent. Now something else I want to mention, with this guy's Arata Dark Magician of Chaos, I believe the effect to add a spell card, not a trap card, just a spell card from your graveyard, activates during the end phase, which is important because if this card was normal special summon this turn, target a spell trap card added to your hand. If he hits the field, if Call the Hunted resolves and he hits the field and your opponent gets rid of him, or they 101 him, or I'm not sure if Castell would work. He should work. If you were sent back to the deck with Castell, not guaranteed on that one though, you should still get the effect because he hit the field. Because he was normal special summon this turn, so. How they should have worded it is, if this card is normal special summon this turn, during your end phase, and then it would activate on his summon, so that way your opponent could get rid of him or try to do something and you wouldn't get his effect during the end phase per se. or it'd be just a little bit different. If they get rid of him and then you activate his effect during the end phase, they can strike it, but they already got rid of him. If it's activated when he was summoned, they could strike him and get rid of him right away. So I feel like that would have been a little bit more balanced, but the way it is worded, you can abuse it, and if they get rid of him, you can still get to add like a Pandeity or your Regeki or your Trade-ins back or your Twin Twisters. I recommend your Twin Twisters because, yeah, those cards you can't get back. Like, I recommend these 4 cards because you can get back all your other Monarch Spell Trap cards with this card. So yeah, that is this deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Tell me guys what you think of Monarchs. Tell me what you guys think of this new format, the ban list. And I do want to say before I leave that the duels, unless Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro fixes itself soon by tomorrow, the duels with this deck will be on Dueling Network, and you guys all know how it is on Dueling Network. You can't see any of the cards, which makes things off and awkward, but it's not too difficult. It honestly isn't. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys later.